You clicked for the reverse gold rush. You're in the right place. We're counting down 10 cities that built America's backbone and are now watching it crumble in slow motion. Here's the twist. Nearly 10,000 people hit retirement age every day, and many aren't sticking around. The wealth leaves, the tax base thins, and the maintenance bills don't shrink. We'll show you how grand theaters, wide boulevards, and steel-era infrastructure became liabilities overnight, and why these places aren't just bad neighborhoods. They're case studies in what happens when one industry owns your future. Number 1, Youngstown, Ohio. You can buy a house in Youngstown for the price of a used Corolla. Sounds like a win, right? Here's the catch. The cheap deed comes stapled to a city that ran at steel mill scale. The mill collapse nuked payrolls, people left, and boomers kept moving to warmer, tax-friendlier states. Streets stayed wide, water lines stayed huge, and factories stayed dead. Systems built for around 170,000 now serve a fraction, so the fixed cost per person spikes. The land bank knocks down abandoned homes, but demolition doesn't pay for pipes. Youngstown State adds life. A small art strip helps weekends. The math still lands hard. Low sticker price, high carrying cost. The next stop doubled down on Lakefront logistics, then watched it rust. Number 2, Gary, Indiana. Grand Boulevards, a straight shot to Chicago on the South Shoreline. On paper, commuter gold. But here's the catch. U.S. Steel shrank, crime headlines kept piling up, and boomers with pensions bounced to suburbs or the Sun Belt. The city kept the scale. The wallets didn't. Walk downtown and you'll see the Palace and State Theaters shuttered. Oversized roads with almost no cars. Whole blocks turned to vacant lots. Rail upgrades help riders, not the local tax base. Property values lag the region, so taxes bite harder on less. Fixed costs per resident spike as population falls. State budgets strain. The airport and lakefront plans? Gorgeous PDFs, thin on funding. It's arithmetic and brutal. If steel hollowed Gary, the next city got hit by poisoned pipes and a PR disaster that chased out anyone who could leave. Number 3, Flint, Michigan. Want proof that aging infrastructure can bankrupt trust faster than it bankrupts budgets? Flint. It went from auto powerhouse to nationwide cautionary tale in a decade. GM downsized, payrolls thinned, and retirees chased predictable costs elsewhere. Then the water switch poisoned confidence. Median home prices fell hard, and when values drop, property tax revenue follows. The city still pays to maintain miles of mains and roads for far fewer users. So water rates rise and residents feel it every month. Federal and state aid patched lines and funded replacements, but it didn't fix structural revenue. Hospitals and colleges stabilize a few blocks, yet the stigma sticks. You inherit the pipes you poured, even if half the customers left. Now take a steel town that rebuilt after a literal flood, and still couldn't outrun the retirement math. Number 4, Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Johnstown is the comeback story that keeps getting invoiced twice. Steel collapses, then floods remind you who's boss. The city built out for mill-era density, then had to layer levees and dams on top. Let that sink in. Here's the catch. Those flood walls don't maintain themselves. Federal help builds big projects, but local budgets eat the ongoing operations and maintenance. Meanwhile, the median age creeps up. Seniors on fixed incomes face flood insurance premiums and rising utilities. So many bounce to cheaper, drier zip codes. Weekends bring tourists and events. Weekdays expose the spreadsheet. Too much concrete, not enough wallets. Resilience isn't free. From flood walls to coal walls, the next city turned into a policy lesson. Number 5, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Scranton got meme famous, which is great for t-shirts, not so great for pensions. Here's the catch. The city's budget drags unfunded promises while the bones of an industrial grid need cash every winter. Let that sink in. Coal faded, manufacturing followed, and a growing senior share lives on fixed incomes. That means higher service demand but lower tax elasticity. Downtown is oversized for today's foot traffic, so vacancies linger and carry costs stack up. Pension liabilities and school consolidation fights add heat. Aging schools still need heat, roofs, and buses, even with fewer kids. Retirees drift to exurbs or the Sun Belt for softer taxes and warmer winters. Small colleges and healthcare help, but cultural cash doesn't pay the snowplows. Head south. Number 6, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Pine Bluff looks oversized on purpose. Straight shots, wide corridors, civic buildings that say, "We were going big." Here's the catch. Paper and ag processing faded, perception of crime rose, and retirees with equity took their winnings to safer suburbs, or Sunbelt exurbs with fresh builds. Walk the commercial corridors and you'll see empty storefronts, a mall that turned into a memory, and long police beats covering sprawl without the shoppers. Cheap houses lure you in, but insurance, security, and car dependency stack costs fast for seniors. It's like buying a discount phone and paying premium data forever. A casino and the hospital add paychecks, not density. And if you thought that was tough, the next place shows what happens when industry leaves, and the Interstates leapfrog you. Number 7, Danville, Illinois. Danville sits on the map like a toll booth between I-74 and I-57, but money keeps flying by. Here's the catch. Manufacturing reductions and hospital consolidations hollowed out the core, while boomers cash out modest equity and head to warmer, flatter tax states. Retail leakage bleeds sales to bigger metros. Underused water systems still demand full-scale upkeep. That shifts property tax pressure onto fewer homeowners, and rates climb even as values stall. Exurban growth elsewhere siphons young families. What's left is aging-in-place residents who need services without adding revenue. Warehouses and cannabis facilities add payrolls, but distribution centers don't shop downtown. Through traffic is not an economy. Up the Ohio River, a once wealthy trade hub faces the same arithmetic. Number 8, Wheeling, West Virginia. Wheeling still flexes old money. Victorians on the hills, stone churches, steel bridges that hum when trucks roll. Looks rich, the ledger isn't. Coal and steel-era cash evaporated. A graying population holds assets, spends cautiously, and that means sales tax doesn't pop. Casino revenue spikes, then dips. You can't plan payroll on a slot machine. Downtown has rehab wins, yet vacancy lingers. Bridges demand constant work. Healthcare is the anchor employer, but it doesn't spin off like mills did. So per capita costs creep, while retiree-heavy demand leans on EMS, transit, and snow response without raising revenue. Number 9, Decatur, Illinois. Decatur smells like industry because it is industry. Grain, rail, food processing. Here's the catch. Plant payrolls don't multiply like they used to. Automation hums, headcount drops. Retirees chase lower taxes and warmer weather, leaving a spread-out grid with flat demand and rising utility bills. A DM streamlines and automates. Output stays high, but the jobs per ton shrink. The city still pays for the same pipes and lanes. Lake Decatur needs dredging. Expensive, recurring, unavoidable. Add industrial tax abatements, and budgets tighten even when factories run. Big single employers create fragility. When they automate, the grid doesn't shrink. Logistics adds trucks, not neighborhoods. An economy that hums doesn't always pay retail. Number 10, Beckley, West Virginia. Beckley sells mountain calm and medical access. Sounds ideal for aging in place. But here's the catch. Cole's slide took wages with it, so a lot of seniors live on tight, fixed checks. Healthcare is the dominant employer, and the community college keeps people trained, yet those anchors don't refill a wide tax bucket. Opioid-era stress hits EMS, clinics, and courts. Development sprawled along corridors, so every mile of road, pipe, and plow costs more per person. Let that sink in.